This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Amanda Stevens, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Monday, July 13th. The injuries and infrastructure damage in Typhoon Bavi's aftermath. Taiwan's vice premier says the country will continue to pursue gender equality on national and international levels. And a think tank revises Taiwan's economic growth rate to 10.16%. But first, today's top story. Over 130 injuries have been reported, and more than 1,000 telephone lines and 59 cell towers have been damaged as a result of Typhoon Bavi bringing strong winds and heavy rainfall to Taiwan. The Central Emergency Operations Center, or CEOC, said on Sunday it expects repairs to last at least until Tuesday, July 14th. CEOC commander and the National Fire Agency Director General Xiao Huangzhang said he has directed the National Communications Commission, or NCC, and telecom operators to activate disaster roaming services in Wufeng Township, Hsinchu County. The Central Weather Administration, or CWA, lifted the land typhoon warning at 5:30 a.m. on Sunday and the sea warning at 8:30 a.m. 3 weather stations located in Nanzhang Township in Miaoli County, as well as Wufeng Township and Jianshi Township in Hsinchu County, recorded rainfall exceeding 700 millimeters before the typhoon moved away from Taiwan. According to CEOC data, 15,228 people were evacuated across 14 counties and cities, with 762 people still in shelters as of Sunday afternoon. Across the country, 135 injuries have been reported, including 7 foreign nationals. In total, 3,163 disaster incidents have been reported, with fallen trees along streets being the most common, followed by damage to utilities and infrastructure. Water Resources Agency's Land Management Division Director Ye Junming said that 43 flooding incidents occurred across Taiwan, all of which have since receded. More than 4,000 households in Beipu Township and Eimei Township in Hsinchu County experienced water outages, with repairs expected to finish on Monday. As of Sunday afternoon, over 2,000 households were cut off from power, most of them located in Hsinchu County. The cabinet held the opening ceremony for the 5th CEDAW National Report Review meeting on Monday. Speaking at the opening, Vice Premier Zheng Lijun pointed to Taiwan's high ranking among international lists. Taiwan is 10th out of 167 on the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP. Zheng said that despite these positive numbers, the government won't stop its pursuit of gender equality. CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, often referred to as the Women's Rights Code, which was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1979. Since 2009, Taiwan has proactively submitted its own CEDAW national report. Since 2011, Taiwan has invited International Review Committee members to examine the report and submit national reports every 4 years. 2026 is the 5th time Taiwan has been reviewed by international experts to make recommendations on government efforts to promote gender equality and protect women's human rights. Zheng listed Taiwan's gender equality development as inseparable from its democratization, making note of landmark legislation such as the Civil Code's Family Law, the 3 gender equality laws, and a recent Stalking and Harassment Prevention Act. Through these, she said, a legal foundation for gender equality has been gradually established and used to promote a diverse view of what that means. The vice premier also pointed out Taiwan's progress as compared to international indicators. In terms of gender equality, Taiwan ranks high globally and in Asia especially. The UNDP ranks Taiwan 10th out of 167 countries, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, ranks Taiwan as first in Asia. Zheng said,
Taiwan was included in the OECD's Social Institutions and Gender Index for the first time, where it ranked 6th out of 179 countries and first in Asia. In 2024, the chairman mentioned that our legislators maintained a ratio of 40% female, which is also the highest in Asia.
In terms of recent progress, she pointed to the government's promotion of taking childcare leave on a day-by-day basis, instituted just this year. She pointed out that the number of male applicants has been rising monthly, exceeding female applicants for 2 consecutive months as of June. The cabinet has also proposed further amendments to the law, like extending childcare leave and expanding flexible leave options to allow parents to possibly receive an additional 3 months of childcare allowance, all with the aim of breaking down the traditional division of family care responsibilities. Zhang outlined the government's future goals, which include promoting a friendly workplace, supporting dual employment and dual care, reducing the gender pay gap, enhancing women's participation in decision-making, and strengthening the prevention of gender-based violence. The Academia Sinica Institute of Economics became the first Taiwanese think tank to predict the country's growth rate will exceed 10%, when it significantly revised its 2026 economic growth forecast to 10.16% on Monday. Experts attribute Taiwan's strong economic growth to its supply chain role amid the continued demand increase surrounding the global AI boom. The institute had previously forecast Taiwan's 2026 economic growth at 3.71% at the end of last year. Its newest forecast is the highest among Taiwanese think tanks, including the Tsinghua Institute for Economic Research and the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, which both estimate rates of approximately 7.5% and 9.3% respectively. Institute of Economics Joint Research Fellow Lin Jiangjing noted that the revision was based on economic data from the first half of the year and significant changes in Taiwan's economic structure. Lin said that Taiwan's economic growth rate in the first quarter far exceeded expectations, at over 14.5%, mostly due to support from AI investments. He said,
"The impact of the US-China tariffs has largely disappeared. At the same time, demand for AI hardware is no longer driven by traditional economic conditions. It is increasingly tied to foundational investments like high-speed cloud computing and manufacturing, which make up the groundwork for building future productivity. So we revised our projections up."
However, Academia Sinica cautioned that there are still many uncertainties about the second half of the year. For example, whether the AI investment cycle will continue, or whether the profits from such investments outweigh the massive costs. Taiwan will also be affected by other global factors, such as the Iran war, U.S. technology controls, energy price fluctuations, and more, which could impact global financial markets and supply chains. The CDC warns that due to the continued rise in both international and domestic COVID-19 cases, the public should remain vigilant, especially when in contact with high-risk individuals. In a Monday press release, CDC spokesperson Zheng Shuhui advised vaccination to reduce the risk of severe illness, and that the nationwide free COVID-19 program offering the most up-to-date vaccine will be extended to July 31st. Zheng reported increasing numbers in neighboring countries. According to data released by the Chinese CDC, China saw 20,000 cases per month from March to May this year. However, in June, the number surged to 79,000, with 130 severe cases. Coupled with rising COVID-19 cases in Japan and the Philippines, Zheng said that a summer wave may pose a potential threat to Taiwan. Domestic hospitals saw an uptick in numbers with over 2,000 outpatient and emergency room COVID-19-related visits last week. The CDC stated that not only will the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination program continue until July 31st, but second doses are available to high-risk groups, such as those aged 65 and up, and those with compromised immune systems or weakened immune systems. Taiwan should not be excluded from any discussions involving its rights and interests or regional codes of conduct in the South China Sea, and all parties should jointly uphold regional peace and stability. That came from the Foreign Ministry on Sunday, following a joint statement by 14 countries, including the Philippines, the United States, Japan, and Australia, on the 10th anniversary of the South China Sea arbitration ruling against China in a case brought by the Philippines. On July 12, 2016, an international arbitration tribunal reviewed in favor of the Philippines in a case against China regarding the latter's claims over maritime areas in the South China Sea. The tribunal noted that it would not rule on sovereignty nor maritime boundaries, but deemed China's historic rights claims as having no legal effect unless enacted under the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. The 14-country joint statement said that the ruling is legally binding and that China's claims in the South China Sea based on historic rights have no basis in international law. Taiwan's foreign ministry reiterated in a press release that the Republic of China Taiwan's sovereignty claims over the South China Sea islands and its related policies remain unchanged. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Amanda Stevens. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features, brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.